could be
Hey
flaws.
guys, so it's me
If you're a
Kyle.
fan of the Jurassic Park franchise,
So
you probably have
the
noticed that the
reaction
raptors
video
over
started
all the
with
films have changed in
the
their appearance,
face
and
cam.
somewhat their behavior too. Many videos have been made explaining away the behavioral changes in the
Um,
raptors, but none really touched on why their appearances have changed. So, in this video, we're going to
I
give you a
have
treat and give you some theories
this
as to why their appearances have changed.
it's
Let me
called
reiterate that these are just our
why
theories and our thoughts, and
why
any one of these
raptors
could
look
be
so
true just
different
like all of them
from
could be
Crocs.
flaws. Alright, let's start. So in
So
Jurassic
Jurassic
Park
Park
1,
1
the
is the
raptors are described
dinosaurs
as
has
having
a
dark yellow
dark
skin with dark stripes or brown stripes with green crocodilian cat-like eyes. In Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, set on Isla Sorna, the raptors seem to have a brighter, more orange, tiger-like color with dark brown or black stripes and yellow eyes. In Jurassic Park 3, the raptors display sexual dimorphism in that the females have a dull color with black markings and no feather-like protrusions from their head, and the males are a darker color sporting red and white and blue in parts of their body with feather-like spikes on their head and more bird-like eyes, doing away with the slit pupils. In Jurassic World or Jurassic Park 4, the raptors seem to pay homage to the original raptors in their body shape and face profile. So they're obviously more stocky than any of the other raptors in the previous movies, and they once again sport the cat eyes. So here are three theories that we think explain why the raptors' appearances have changed. The first theory is that they changed their color through adaptation based on the prey they hunt. The second is that they were genetically engineered to look that way based on what the engineers felt they looked like, and so it was only a matter of time until they showed their features. And the third is that they came out looking that way based on the average temperature and topography of their environment. Let's take a look at the first raptors. They were nothing special and blended in with their dark jungle canopy-like enclosure. There really wasn't any need for flamboyance, as they had to blend in with the forest floor and the trunk surrounding it within their enclosure. Their markings weren't that distinct, and they almost looked muddy in a sense. Maybe that's because when you look at animal genetics, different colors and shapes are altered based on environmental changes and adaptations based on the changing temperatures within the environment, as well as other variables. These raptors were just made from the lab straight into their paddock. They weren't really given any outside stimulation except for their enclosure, and they were not breeding at the time. So we can understand them being plain Janes in the first movie. Most of the dinosaurs were. However, in the second movie, raptors have been breeding and have been wild for a while in Isla Sorna, or the second island, and so their markings were more prominent. It could be that females of the species saw males with more distinct markings as more attractive and vice versa, causing them to breed, therefore making those markings more prominent. Or hunting in the tall grass, as we saw them doing in Jurassic Park Lost World, was more successful for those raptors who donned more prominent stripes, the way a tiger would hunting in the rainforests or grasslands of Asia. The little bit that we did see of the raptors in Jurassic Park Lost World, they were nocturnal hunters that hunted in tall grass and stalked their prey. At night, their tannish orange color would blend in well, having those black stripes breaking up their physiology, so they would look like the tall grass around them. As for their slit eyes, the raptors in Jurassic Park 1 and 2, as well as 4, possess these types of eyes because they were ambush predators that were equally active in the day and at night. Raptors stalk their prey until they can get close enough to make an attack. So do crocodiles, and so do cats, which also have slit pupils. Of course, there are other ambush predators, such as tigers, which stalk their prey as well, but have more endurance to chase down their prey when they're close enough and the prey runs. Crocodiles and cats do not. It could be that most of the raptors in Jurassic Park films had slit pupils because they were predominantly ambush predators. Even though they could supposedly run cheetah speed, living on an island, it's fair to say that most of the animals they ate, aside from other dinosaurs of course, would be smaller, fast-moving animals that can easily burrow into the ground, escape up a tree, or dive into the brush or underwater. Remember that Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna, more so specifically Isla Nublar, are islands like Costa Rica, which is predominantly rainforest, cloud forest, and tropical dry forested areas. So many animals that live in these regions are smaller, faster, cunning, and poisonous. Most of what the raptors would eat in between large meals would be the smaller creatures. Typically, in forested areas, since there's not a lot of room to do a full-out sprint, predators depend on ambush hunting, or sneaking up on their prey as close as possible and then attacking the way the clever girl did to Muldoon in Jurassic Park. The raptor's striped colors would further come into play when they activate their hunting tactic. Well, while one of the raptors would be the distraction, the other raptors would attack from the sides. The prey would not see these raptors coming, not just because of the raptor's stealth, but because their stripes help them to blend in so well to the surroundings. The same thing applies for the Jurassic World raptors when it came to them being able to hunt in the night and daytime. So it is true that by now the Jurassic World raptors should have looked much different, but they were specifically genetically engineered or cloned. Owen Grady's 4 raptors were made in a lab using the DNA from a green iguana, certain birds, and a black-throated monitor. It is said that Delta, who had more bird in her than the others, gave her more of a bird-like behavior or temperament. So the simple explanation for the Jurassic World raptors looking the way they do was mainly for aesthetics. Now, back to the raptors who look the most different from all the others. The Jurassic Park 3 raptors. These raptors had been in the wild for some time on Isla Sorna. Now, just as certain animals from the same species will have different physiological features and other animals from the same species that reside in a completely different area, the Jurassic Park 3 raptors looked entirely different from their Jurassic 2 counterparts. This could be for 2 reasons. Either one, after being on the island for a while, the raptors evolved from the Jurassic Park 2 raptors, so that now all the raptors on the islands look like what they look like now on Isla Sorna, or 2, only a specific tribe of raptors adapted to look this way because they live in a completely different region on the island. The movie canon states that the raptors on Isla Sorna lived in the center of the island in 2 places known as the Long Grass and the Village. I think it's quite obvious that the raptors from Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, are the long grass raptors, and the raptors we see in Jurassic Park 3 are the village raptors, which we see residing around the artificial ruins. We already explained the theory as to why the Jurassic Park 2 Lost World raptors look the way they do, but why did the raptors in the Jurassic Park 3 movie look so different? After some time had passed, the raptors on Isla Sorna have become more streamlined with circular pupils, and they become more intelligent. In the card above and in the outro, there's a video link to why the raptors, or at least our theory as to why the raptors have become more intelligent, and we give a very full, thought-out theory there, so you can go ahead and check that out after the video. But the theory is that the raptors have changed morphically due to their hunting habits. Maybe this specific tribe of raptors chased down their prey, and the reason I believe this is very much the case is because of their eye shape and their elaborate vocalization. The only other animal we really see doing this in terms of elaboration with their vocalization is dolphins. Dolphins and wolves, that is. They will work together vocally when giving chase to prey. These raptors are seen as more intelligent, and seem to have been the ones that were naturally selected to go on and form a little community, since the raptors from Jurassic Park 2 were seen as too aggressive and reactionary. The raptors in Jurassic Park 3 planned and are clearly built for the long chase. This is also because they exist in bigger packs with heightened intelligence, and so they don't need to stay and wait in ambush. They also have evolved intellectually in order to set traps for their prey. As for their markings, just as is with birds, the females have a duller coloration since they're the ones that have to take care of the nest. It's also very clear that the raptors take care of their young dotingly at first. We know this because animals that don't take care of their young don't care when something disturbs the nest, such as sea turtles. That's the reason they lay so many of those eggs, to give their offspring a higher chance of survival, knowing that there's a high mortality rate. However, the fact that these raptors were willing to chase down the humans all across the island just to retrieve 2 eggs means that they're serious parents, and they know that taking care of their young the way they do ensures survival and increases their numbers, which in turn increases their power as a pack. The males in the species of raptor possess bright colors to show their health and competency as a mate, the same reason that birds do today. Since raptors on a whole are apex predators, there really isn't any need for the male to particularly blend in with the surroundings any longer. The females need to, because as they're sitting on the nest or they're trying to protect their young, they don't want to attract attention to the nest or themselves. So, being that they're on the nest most of the time when they lay eggs, it makes perfect sense as to why they should blend in with their surroundings, but not the males. Male birds have bright colors to not only attract females, but to intimidate other birds and other predators, and they can afford to be this bright because they can fly and get away from predators very easily. In the raptor's case, they're not only very fast, but they themselves are also top predators. Since the Jurassic Park 3 raptors aren't really ambush predators in the way they hunt, they seem to have more bird-like eyes that are based most of focus and distance, like birds of prey, like the raptors and eagles of today. And in case you didn't know what a bird of prey is, or a raptor, that's something like a hawk, or an osprey, or an eagle. There is also no need for them to be so close to the ground, since they're not lying in wait, crouching to ambush prey, which is indicative behavior of predators with slit eyes, creatures that are close to the ground and ambush their prey, such as cats, snakes, and crocodiles. So that's our logical explanation that we have for why the raptors look so different across the different films. That's just our theory. As was said before, what did you guys come to conclude?